Welcome back to the Renaissance Ray, episode 224, Michelangelo, part 2.
I'm excited to be here. This is fun. I'm glad we reached Jerusalem. I'm not glad that it was, what happened there, but we're doing something fresh. We're doing something new. We're back to art. We're back to one of these Renaissance men who, let's face it, they could take multiple things. I'm blanking on the word right now. Blend it together and almost come up with, and it helps them with their art in many different formats. So again, it's inspiring to talk about someone like this, to know that we will never achieve anything like this, but maybe we could have if we'd been born and sucked the teat.
Speak for yourself.
Of
I
a
invented podcasting, fucker. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, I'm using the royal we. If you would let me finish. But if I had sucked the teat of a stonecutter's wife, who
You think
knows
that's
where
what
I could have.
every time King Charles gets off the can, he goes, I did a royal we. It's the royal we. Please bottle it up and rub it on your skin later.
But that's right. And leave a $5 on the desk. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. No, I'm glad you achieved something. I'm still looking for mine. I need something that is going to help me get through life, so I'm still looking. Please.
So in the last episode, we introduced Mickey the Angel. We were talking about his family's belief that they were descended from Matilda of Tuscany, the House of Canossa.
Yes.
And even though they fervently believe that, there's no evidence to support it. But he actually was born into a patrician family through his mother, and this is going to play a very significant role in his life and career as an artist, and the opportunities that he is given that other artists, his contemporaries, did not necessarily have access to. Like Leonardo da Vinci did not have the entry vector into high society, despite his father having some connections, that Michelangelo did. And one of the reasons why Da Vinci was kind of pissy, I think, at Michelangelo is that Da Vinci had to work his tits off to get where he was. Michelangelo just slid in like you up my butthole in Vegas with lubed up. He was a blood relative of two important Florentine families, the Del Serra and the Rucellai. Now, we've mentioned the Rucellai before in passing over the course of the series. His maternal grandfather was from a family of merchants with quite a long history. The Rucellai were quite wealthy. Giovanni Rucellai built the Rucellai Palace in Florence and commissioned Leon Battista Alberti to design the facade of the Santa Maria Novella, where Giovanni's name is inscribed. And Michelangelo went to that church for a few years, and every time he went in there, he would have seen his grandfather's, or what, I don't exactly know. I think Giovanni. Yeah, Giovanni would have been his maternal grandfather. Would have seen his name up there. That's a big deal.
But I'm with them. Anyway,
Giovanni Ruccellai's son was Bernardo, and we've talked about him a few times. Bernardo Rucellai, well-known humanist and author, big supporter of Lorenzo de Medici, and was even married to Lorenzo's sister. And we mentioned him in passing a few times because he was the guy who Lorenzo made ambassador to Milan and sent him there in 1482 to go and suck up to Ludovico Sforza. And he took with him a young musician who had made a pretty fancy lute as a gift by the name of Leonardo da Vinci.
They're all connected. Cool.
So it was Michelangelo's grandfather, I think he was. Giovanni would have been his mother's grandfather. No, maternal I don't know. I can't.
There's a connection. There's a connection.
Yeah. Somewhere along the way, Bernardo was related to Michelangelo, and it was
Right.
Bernardo who took Da
Who,
Vinci to Milan, where he
which
was to
influenced.
lived
Yeah.
for the next 10 years or whatever it was.
That's amazing.
Um, Michelangelo's father and Lorenzo de' Medici were contemporaries and distant in-laws,
Yeah. Yeah.
which, again, to us in the modern world may not seem like much. I don't even speak to my immediate family very much, let alone my distant family. My mother's always going, your cousin's
You should.
child just had a baby. And I'm like, I could
Yeah.
not give less of a fuck, really, about
Right. I
anyone.
mean, yeah. I don't wish him harm, but I don't
No. But
care.
why are
No.
you wasting
But
my time with this random
nothing
person
to
that I
do.
have
Nothing to do with me.
nothing to
Nothing to do
no,
with me.
nothing to do with me
No,
whatsoever?
I think I know what you're gonna say, and I was trying to think of why, because when I read this part in the book, I'm like, why would you give such time or credence or whatever the proper word is to a distantly related family member? But if you everything that we've covered with the De Medicis, I mean, they've got so many fucking enemies. I guess you're willing to cast a wide net when you're defining family loyalty or looking for someone that you can trust to be a part of your gang, your posse, your crew, if you will. I mean, does that sound right? That's me
Yeah.
guessing, but
I
I'm
think
going
it's
like,
good. Yeah. Wow.
I need all the help I can
You
get.
actually said
You,
something that
you,
made sense. Let me just, where's my pen? I got to
boom.
write down the date.
One. No, go ahead. Go right there.
Yeah, very
Go
tribal. And I think you
tribal.
nailed it.
That's
Very
good. That's
tribal
good.
because, yeah, there were, and you needed connections. You needed people in the church and people in business and people in government that were on your side because there were always these
Exactly.
factions going on and factional
Life and
wars
death.
constantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wanted, and yeah, it was also the patronage idea that we know goes right back to ancient Rome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Caesar, Sulla, Pompey, um, go
Other
back to,
clients.
yeah, Sulla and Marius. You had your patrons, you had your
Mm-hmm.
clients, you had people that owed you a favor. It's Don Corleone. It's one day, and this day might never come. I will call upon you to do a favor for my family, but until such
Right.
time, consider this a gift on the day of my daughter's wedding. It's it's all of that, right? This is deep,
Absolutely.
deep, deep in
Yeah.
Italian culture.
Yes, generate DNA. You're absolutely right. I mean, it is cellular at this point for these people.
So it was a big deal to be related to the De Medici,
Mm-hmm.
and they were all considered extended family. So when Michelangelo first arrived in Rome in 1496, it was Bernardo Ruccellai's nephew, the banker Paolo Ruccellai, who provided Michelangelo with money to live. And even
Right.
earlier than that, the connection to the Medici was important because when he was 15, his father was able to secure him a place in the household of
Yeah.
Lorenzo the Magnificent, Il Magnifico, which is what my wife calls me in bed, but that's another story. Um,
Right.
he spent 2 years, which he often talked about as being the happiest years of his life, living in the Medici palace, growing up with the rest of
Yeah.
the Medici kids, Giovanni and Giulio de' Medici, who go on to become Pope Leo
Oh,
X and Pope Clement VII, future
not bad.
patrons of Michelangelo as an artist. Also patrons of LDV. We talked about
Yeah.
his relationship with both of those before they were popes and then after they were popes.
Mm-hmm.
Leo X later spoke of Michelangelo as his brother because they
Mm.
had basically grown up together. So, unlike LDV, who had to work for shit,
Right.
Michelangelo grew up in the middle of the very top of Florentine society and art and wealth and humanism.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. It's basically, going to the fanciest private school, going to Harvard, going to
Yeah.
Oxford, hanging out with the richest and the most influential people in society and making
Yeah.
friends. And it's the friends you make
It's
along the way
it's
that's what really matters.
It's the top of the pops. It's literally like going to Oxford on your first day, and the president of the university goes, "I like you. Do you want to come home and live with me? Share my
Yeah.
table, hang out with
Yeah.
me and look at all my art and talk to my friends." And I
Yeah.
mean, you're
Yeah.
right. It does not get any
Yeah.
higher. And can I just say real quick, because if you're going to touch on this in a minute, I'll stop. But even
Oh, I'm
before
going to
this,
touch on it.
his
You're going
father
to
was
touch
his
this.
father.
If you're going to touch this in a minute, I'll stop. But I remember that's what you said in Vegas.
Your minute and my minute, completely different. Anyway, no. So even before he ends up at the Medici household at age 15, he was with the artist Domenico Ghirlandaio, if I'm saying that right, and he wasn't there like you were just saying. He wasn't there to mix paints or to clean up or whatever. His father was like, look, this kid has got to be the breadwinner of the family. So I need him to have a taste of the good life. I've sent my oldest boy to the church because that's what you do. And so he was just allowed to put around and make copies of stuff. But even that wasn't good enough for the dad. The dad works on it for years, and finally, like you just what you started this with, the father is able to get an in for his son with Lorenzo's household and gets him in there. I mean, the father is sure there's a lot of letter campaigns. There's a lot of shaky hands or offering gifts or whatever, but he does eventually succeed in his desire. He gets his son smack dab and right in the middle of the Medici household, the humanist center of Florence. I mean, again, he could not hope to achieve anything more for his child. And he did it. And here I am. I don't have any sweet teat to suck on. I don't got anybody looking out for me. I'm just doing the best I can. And let's be honest, it's not that impressive. But again, his father is doing his father's breaking his back for him. He's getting all the breaks. He's getting all the breaks.
And even before that, before he
Right.
went to work for Ghirlandaio, he was sent, as a young boy, he was sent to study grammar in Florence under the famous humanist Francesco di Urbino. Because, as you said, the eldest son was going into the church, as you did. You need someone in the church, connections, power, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
His father wanted Michelangelo to go into business. That's, the second son should be a banker, should be running the family affairs, taking over.
Right.
But Michelangelo showed very little interest in schooling, and that sort of bites him on the ass later on in life. He couldn't read Latin.
Yeah.
It couldn't, and so all of his contracts that were in Latin, he had to have also written in vernacular Italian. This is the only thing he could read. But even as a child, instead of focusing on schooling, he preferred to copy paintings from churches and hang out with other painters, which would be weird for a child today. But we're talking about peak Renaissance Florence here, where being an artist was kind of like being a punk rocker or a coder. It's sort of cool to be a painter or a sculptor. That's like what the cool kids do. He was wearing goth makeup and long black coats and smoking cigarettes and listening to the Velvet Underground and painting. He was from a very early age, he was into cool shit, which was being an artist. That was what was cool in Florence in the late 1400s, right?
Yeah, and we don't have to re-examine this, but to take what you just said and to connect it to the very beginning of the show, but also the beginning of the last show. It was almost like a chicken and the egg. There was a time when the artists were considered the equivalent of the plumber, and they start coming along, but the work that they're doing is so vibrant, and they're living these lives out loud, and some of them are less than conspicuous with their lifestyle choices, and some of them have crazy clothes, and they're chasing other wives, or they're being chased by wives, and so they start being bad boys, but because their art is so good, they become acceptable bad boys. So something like that. So it's the chicken and the egg. So yes, here's a little kid. It's like, should that young kid be hanging out with those older guys? That doesn't feel right. Oh, he wants to be an artist. Good luck, son. Do whatever you got to do. So again, it's acceptable because it is the cutting edge of the culture of Florence, and Florence is the cultural center of fucking everything. So again, He's just in the right place at the right time, while Leonardo had to bust his ass and hear the word no a gazillion times. So again, I find it fascinating, but things are, people are working for him, don't get me wrong, but things are certainly going Michelangelo's way.
Yeah, if you were born into the right circumstances and you could afford to spend your time painting, like
Yeah.
most kids are going to be working in the fields at
Mm-hmm.
13, not going to be apprenticed to Ghirlandaio, or not in the field. They're going to be working in the fields, or they're going to be getting a trade. They're going to be
Yes.
going into the family business in the wool trade. If you're not in the church, you're in the wool trade or the, whatever the
Banking
fucking
or,
trade is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing? Prostitution.
But
Sorry. Go ahead.
his father obviously realized that he wasn't going to end up as a banker. Didn't
Exactly.
have that in him. So he did organize for him to be apprenticed to Ghirlandaio. At the time, one of the most fashionable painters in Florence. As you may
Mm,
recall from our episodes on the de Medici, he had been sent just previous to this to the Vatican, where he lived for several years to paint the walls of the Sistine Chapel. There was this whole deal between the Pope and the Medici where the Pope tried to kill Lorenzo and his brother, did kill his brother, bit of bad
yes.
blood. They patched it
Right.
up. And Lorenzo said, look, as a sign of good faith, I'll send you some of our best artists to paint the Sistine Chapel. And Ghirlandaio was one of the guys who went. So he was the creme de la creme of Florentine artists at the time.
Right.
And as you hinted at, the relationship between Michelangelo and Ghirlandaio seems to be strange for the time. It had more to do with his father's social standing, connection to the
Mm,
Medici, etc., to be able to get him in there. He gets paid in his second year as an artist, which was rare for someone that young, and also had a weird relationship. As you said, he should have started on the lowest of low rungs, mixing plaster, mixing paint, but he's not. He's spending his
right.
days copying Ghirlandaio's works, experimenting, learning to be an artist, not just being a shit kicker and working your way up from the bottom, which is what most apprentices had to do.
Pay your dues.
And he also was free to leave the workshop if a better opportunity came along with no legal
Right.
consequences. Most kids, if you took an apprenticeship, you were kind of locked in. We talked about this in Da Vinci's day. You
Yeah.
were basically not a slave, but a serf.
Slave-ish. Right.
It
Right.
was like, okay, you can apprentice under me, but you then got to put in 5 years into my
I feed
workshop.
you. I
Yeah,
clothe you. I house you. Fuck you, owe me. Yeah.
I
You
anally
better produce
rape
some money.
you. You, yeah, you got to produce some stuff for the workshop. But
Exactly.
Michelangelo was free to leave, which he did when he went to live with the Medici a couple of years later.
Right.
Now, obviously, living in the Medici palace, he would have been exposed to the pinnacle of
Yeah.
humanist education and literature. Although a lot of the works in the De Medici library would have been in Latin, which he couldn't read, but there would have
Right.
been a lot of lively discussion around
Mm,
the dinner table in the household about all of these great works of Lucretius and Plato and Cicero and Aristotle and everything that was fashionable and topic of lively debate
erudite.
in Florentine circles.
Yeah.
He's basically like you. He couldn't read, so he knew everything he knew from the 15th century version of YouTube, which was other
Right.
people talking about stuff.
Yeah.
Or
No, but
basically like our audience. They can't be
right.
bothered reading. They
No.
listen to
Yeah.
us. Tell
That's right.
them stuff.
We're not saying that they're lazy. But, they could be getting this from somewhere else. So what does that say about them? No, but I mean, discussions, debates, lectures, someone riffing poetry, someone reading someone's poetry. I mean, how could that not, and again, you and I was, not you and I, because we're cool, but some people, like our listeners, might yawn or whatever. But for these people in this humanist sitting around the table, and for this very young, impressionable boy, this was fucking rock star material. This was cool as shit. How would you not want to emulate what you hear, what you see? And again, his father was literally like, I need you to have access to the right people. I need you connected to the right people, because one day you and or I are going to ask them a favor for you, because we've got to launch your fucking career, whatever that is. It's more important to know the right people than worry about the details now. And that's the path that his father has set him on.
Another thing that his father set him on was a lifetime of gay sex, because,
Thanks,
as we
Dad.
know, the Medici Palace in 15th
Oh,
century Florence
butt stuff.
was
Yeah.
basically San Francisco. It was the center of illegal butt fucking. We've
Openness, I think is. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
we've pointed out, particularly during the Da Vinci episodes early on, but also other episodes, homosexual sex was not just illegal, but was a crime that could be punished by execution in Catholic Florence.
Yeah.
But when Savonarola comes around not long
Oh,
after
shit.
this, in the
Tighten up.
1490s, he really, their assholes did tighten up. They clenched
They
up when Savonarola
puckered
was
up.
around. Savonarola was hunting down the
Yeah.
gays. But before that, there was
Yes.
sort of a blind eye turned to it at the Medici Palace. We don't really know why.
Right.
We don't know if Lorenzo was bi or if he just is like, who gives a fuck? Like, love is
Yeah.
love, and
Love
it's
is
really got
love.
nothing to do with me. These are great
Yeah.
artists. If they take it up the poop
Yeah.
chute, what's it got to do with me? Um,
Exactly.
but our old friend, the poet Angelo Poliziano, was living at the Medici Palace. He's the gay
Mm,
guy whose poetry was so refined. He's credited with inventing the idea of the gentleman,
that's
which we talked
right.
about in
That's
episode
right.
81, about 20
Mm-hmm.
years ago. And he was lover of Pico della Mirandola,
Mm-hmm.
one of the great humanist intellectuals of his time. So there was a lot of not Botticelli, who was the guy who did the other statue of David, um,
Oh,
the gay statue of David.
yes, the twink.
Donatello.
Yes.
He was probably living there at the time. So a lot of fabulous gay guys in and around the Medici Palace at the time.
Hello.
And
Right.
Michelangelo never married and once said, "The works I leave behind will be my children."
Mm,
And there
good
were
comeback.
rumors about his sexual preferences in Florence during his lifetime. We know this. I mentioned in our first episode that when Vasari's Lives of the Artists came out, in the first edition, Michelangelo wasn't very happy about it.
Right.
And he got one of his pupils, a guy called Condivi, to write the official biography of Michelangelo.
Mm-hmm.
And Condivi mentions that certain lewd men talked evil about Michelangelo's sexual preferences.
Right.
So we know that these stories were going around.
Yeah.
Outside of that, there's really no evidence. But he
Yeah.
seems to have been mostly sexually inactive. His assistant Calcani recorded at some point Michelangelo's comments about sex. He said that refraining from sexual intercourse, this I have always done. And if you want to prolong your life, do not indulge in it, or at least as little as you can. And that's probably why I'm going to die young, because I have tried to get it in as much as possible. Whatever sexual experiences he had when he was young, though, they seem to have dropped off as he aged. His libido seems to have been repressed
Yeah.
and found release only in his art and his poetry. And maybe that was deliberate. We know, again, from the
Yeah.
Da Vinci shows that being homosexual, you could get away with it in Florence, but
Yes.
you had to be careful.
Yeah.
If you were
Yeah.
too out in the open with it,
Right.
there
You're
were,
asking for.
yeah, even though he's connected to the Medici, particularly Savonarola's years came along, and even after that, there's just, it could get you into trouble.
There's a
You know,
line.
yeah,
There's a line. Yeah.
as it has been through most of Western society, post Christianity.
Thank you, church.
Yeah, if you are known to be homosexual, it could ruin even if you didn't get executed, it could ruin your career, ruin your life in lots of different ways. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
like Leonardo, he lived with lots of young men, apprentices and assistants and personal servants. But again,
Hmm.
like Leonardo, we don't really know whether or not he shared his bed with them as well. There's a story that in 1514, when he was working on the tomb for Pope Julius, a father tried to get Michelangelo to take on his son as an apprentice and
Right.
offered the boys sexual services in addition to other things he could do.
He just put it out there.
Michelangelo objected that he wasn't in a position to take on a new apprentice, and the father said, if you only just take a look at this boy, and you will
Trust
not
me.
only let him into your house, but you will let him into your bed.
Primo. Trust me.
Father
Hey,
of
I
the
got to.
year, though, I got to say, listen, I've hit this, and I tell you,
I got to.
you would not believe how tight my son's butthole is.
I don't want to send him away, but I'm thinking about his future. So if you could do
Yeah,
me a solid,
yeah.
I'd really. We're going to hell.
I'm thinking a timeshare. Like, you get him 90% of the time. I'll come over on Thursdays and
Can't
Saturdays. That's,
can't say fair more than fair. But Michael says not only does it say no, doesn't he get someone else to like? Could you put the kibosh on this thing? I'm trying to remember that passage, but it's like I think he brings somebody else in to go. Just get this guy. I don't want to hear from this guy again. Something like that. Sorry.
yeah, he
Didn't mean
gets
to
one of
ruin
his friends
it.
to talk to this guy on his behalf. But Michelangelo says to the friend, I assure you that I'll deny myself that consolation which I have no wish to filch from him. So the consolation being taking the
Right.
boy to bed. So
Yeah.
um, there are suggestions that he was probably closeted homosexual slash pedophile, but ended up living a mostly celibate life
Right.
like you. But in his case,
It was his
it
own
was
choice.
intentional. It was intentional, not. He didn't end up like
Right. Hey,
incel like you.
the joke is on you because between robotics and AI, it's only a
Yeah,
matter of time before I got the woman of my dreams.
yeah.
Blow me up,
Which
suck me,
looks like
sexy
a
2000. I don't know.
barn animal.
Hey,
Do you think, is it morally wrong to have sex with a robot barn animal? If you're into that
um,
kind of thing,
and,
like if
and,
you like a goat, if that's what gets you hot, if you have a
right.
robot goat, is that
Because it's not
morally
a,
reprehensible?
I don't, because it's not a real goat. It's
It's
a
not a real
piece of
goat. Has no
plastic
feelings.
fiberglass wires. It's not like you're hurting the
Silicon.
soul of silicon. I don't know. It's not like I've researched this or anything.
There's
But no, it's
a
not.
startup idea for you. Robotbarnanimals.com.
Come up with the tagline.
That could be
Yeah,
it.
no, yeah, we're gonna be so
Make us
rich.
rich.
And
Make us rich.
anyway, so but going back to human sex if I could for a second. So, I mean, there's so
Oh,
many
right.
possibilities. One, we don't know because there's a lack of evidence. He could have been gay. He could have had an unpleasant experience sexually at the Medici's, sorry, and maybe he was
Medici.
turned off. So maybe he was subsumed. Maybe his passion, his energy, his entire life force, I don't know because I'm not a fucking artist, was subsumed by his art. We don't know. But the point is, you can't automatically go gay because of a lack of sex with a ton of women. The point is, we don't know. The point is it really a big deal as long as no one got hurt? It's not like he left as far as we know, a trail of young men, young boys or whatever. And again, if he decided to pour it all into his work, again, his choice. But again, people just harp on the wrong thing sometimes. And yeah, religion in the Western world makes it hard. So again, who cares? Who knows? We got great work out of this guy.
All right, let's wrap it up there. We'll be back next time with more Mickey the Angel.